So hi Jimmy.
Hi.
Thank you for coming down to the museum for this interview. Today I would like to focus on the shoebox of photos you donated to the NUS Museum a couple of years ago. Mm-hmm. So in the previous conversation with the museum, you had termed these photographs an extension of your image bank of sorts. Yeah. A depository of observations, moments, and inspirations. So since the earliest group of photos in the shoebox, I think self-portraits have been something you have constantly been fixated with and have captured. These two particular self-portraits intrigued me. These photographs seem to be related to one another by virtue of the fact that you had indicated one and two.
Okay, well, if you see this crease on this photograph, you can see that it was creased. It was cut to a size that fit a cassette tape.
Oh, okay.
So this would indicate cassette 1. And this is a cassette 2.
Oh.
It was used to mark 2 cassette tapes that I sent to a friend in Singapore. Or from Detroit, where I was. And as you can see, it's also kind of like, so it's a stage photograph of a self-portrait. At that time already, I was interested in black and white photographs. I got a camera, and I have gone to. Well, I have not gone to summer school in France, where I actually take up photography as and developing black and white photography as part of my course. So much later on, there will be like hand-developed photographs that I did, which are also self-portrait. And at that time, I was interested in self-portrait, stemming from looking at Igor Chili's drawings of himself in the nude, and which is also, the start of why I was doing a lot of drawings of self-portrait. In a style that is kind of German expressionistic.
German expressionistic. I see.
So, like these 2 photographs, I'm smoking. I'm smoking a cigar and I'm smoking a pipe. And these are coded messages which I have sent to a friend in Singapore. His name is Henry. And I have parted with him. And we had shared, and this is Henry. Right?
Henry Chen.
Right, Henry. And we have shared, before I left for Detroit, many nights of just smoking and talking about art and being an artist. And he was the first person I ever met who has had a career and a living, artist as an artist. And also as a young artist. At the time when I became an artist, there was only like 5 other person who is a young artist. And so, because he was successful coming back from Paris, and I guess I was also influenceable and taken upon affectation like smoking a cigars and a pipe. In tribute to him, since I'm sending him a cassette tape of some music that I have, and some conversation that I have recorded and sent to him. And even the things on the table, it's set up. You can see a little photograph under the lamp.
Yes.
And there's a little cup and a little container that contains a pipe cleaner or something. So they will also clue, and since it's by the bed and there's a huge window. Maybe to tell someone that I've happily settled down into a nostalgia of a romantic notion of a home, like it could have been Paris. This is much later, of course. I'm interested in the light and how it's falling on the shirt. Of course, it's also a self-portrait, but it's a very late photograph, 1989, just before I enrolled in the Pennsylvania Academy. As compared to this one, which is really early, in 1985, of course it's a self-portrait, but I'm doing a self-portrait of myself, doing a self-portrait in a lithograph, with a mirror. And then behind me, there are other drawings and newspaper cutting, which I've been thinking about. And that forms my image bank, the things that I'll post on the wall next to my bed, in my bedroom, that I look at it and think about. And that's how I used to work it's kind of like a movable studio. So you're looking at the image and you're thinking about what is it that this image is intriguing. But like all these photographs were technically basically, where all the text written on it was an interest in the documenting my identity and my journey.
Right.
Like this particular photograph has inscription of where I lived, the building next to me, the supermarket that I shop for, and a National Day celebration that I had with a fellow Singaporean,
Right.
and in the opulent lobby that I live in, which is next to my school. So I'm sending clue, and these photographs were a set of photographs that will go into an envelope and will be sent to my home. So they were really clue for someone to narrate to my grandmother that I am happy and that I'm taken care of. So it's really, how to say it? It was a conscious making of an illusion of well-being to someone at home, that I'm at home. So I'm not sure it really means that I'm home. In this situation, of course, I was holding a Singapore national flag and writing it down like National Day 85 at the Fisher Building in Detroit. And this flag, is again shown here with a picture of my friend, and this is her, and she is also Singaporean. And you can see we are putting the Singapore flag next to the American flag. And this is not quite a Singapore flag. It's that it was altered to make it look like a smiling face. It was a gesture of a joke by a friend from Singapore.
Okay.
With whom I took the flag with me. But looking at this again, like almost 30 years later, it has a lot of meaning for me because I'm at this point about thinking about my citizenship as a Singaporean, and that Singapore required that I only keep one passport. So it was funny. It makes me wonder what happened. Why I was so gleeful. You can see the smile face about leaving or being in a country outside of Singapore. And now I can actually recall because at that time, among my friends, there was like an unspoken competition to see who can get out of Singapore faster than the other.
Okay.
Like who can get a scholarship to go and do theatre in Glasgow, which Ivan and Swilin did.
Yes.
Who can go to America to pursue an art education, which is what I did, even another close friend in the circle of my friends, his name is Mark Chan. He actually wrote a song about leaving Singapore, and dreaming about living overseas. And I do not understand why there was, among all the people who are artists and musicians or theatre practitioners, that they felt like they need to go somewhere to further their career, or that was the only advancement that they would have. Or I guess it basically tells you a lot about the cultural situation that was in 1984 Singapore.
Right. In a previous interview in 1997 with Constant Shears for your Lovers and Ancestors in exhibition 1997, you were quoted saying that you identify with the conventional woman in society, but at the same time you also simultaneously wish to fulfill the role of a filial son.
Well, with reference to that conversation, and I was not very clear about what I want to say, but at the same time I was also clearly speaking in code, which of course I think is not so easy to understand for Constant Shear. But if you are a gay person, and if you are my close friend and you know that I have just accepted a marriage proposal to move to America, to live with someone as a gay couple, so in fulfilling a domestic situation, then it becomes quite clear that that means I'm pointing to a point of having to say goodbye to my family, which was what the whole show was about.
There are two photos that you took of Go Chu San.
Go Chu San, right, in 1980s.
Yeah. And you go so far to call him as the kitchen god.
Well, okay, to explain kitchen god, this is in my apartment in the Dragon Court, Holland Road, which is also my studio, and it's in the kitchen. And there's an altar there, which was not used. It would have been a place for the kitchen god.
Right.
So I have framed a picture of Go Chu San, which is a newspaper cutting from the Straits Times that reported his death in Washington D.C.
Yes.
At the time, I think he died of AIDS complications, but it was not reported.
Right.
There was a certain harsh denial about AIDS and homosexual. So my friends and I, we were mostly gay people hanging out in this apartment, young people. So we needed an icon that we can look up to, and it was like, this is the first Singaporean person who is an artist, who is celebrated, who also, of course, died young. It's a perfect, kind of like legend configuration, or configuration for a legend. And so we were basically just putting it up as a joke, but at the same time also as a reminder that we need gay leaders or icons that we can look up to. And in this case, it is actually a real memorial among our friends for someone in the kitchen. So I think it's just as simple as that. It's not very complicated.
Okay.
Yeah.
So one thing I noticed about these particular series of photos were the lack of self-portraits within this particular period in time. And the way I saw it was that you were staring at the mirror with this very steely gaze, as if like trying to peer inside yourself. And perhaps, if I might be projecting, in a rare instance of time alone.
Well, you got the word right. It's alone. So perhaps like this one and this one. This is a photograph that's taken with a time camera, and you can clearly see I was alone. I think I was fascinated with the light, and I was just capturing that. And this too, I was also fascinated by the mirror and how I saw myself there. So I just pull up a camera and take a photo. But I think I also consciously removed my shirt for it.
Okay.
Because I don't really hang around my room without a shirt. So that was an artistic take.
I see.
I would say maybe even this one, because the two protagonists in the photograph is not looking at me, they're unconscious, I'm photographing them.
Right.
So I am capturing a moment of aloneness, watching my grandmother and her new grandson, a cousin of mine. Or this. So it's a photograph of being alone. It's your alone perception. And then you want to remember this moment, and these things that's on your left, and how she stretches to hang out the clothes. So this is, literal aloneness. I'm looking at myself in the mirror. That is a bit blurred because of the light, but it was enough for me because it just shows my a fragment of myself, but not too much details. And so is this. It was obscured by the floods of light that blur up the t-shirts. I think maybe it's about capturing the loneliness of thinking about art. Maybe you can say that.
And I think with that, we have broached a lot of main topics. And I thank you for coming down to the museum to have this interview.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe we are just in the beginning of a larger or longer conversation. Thank you too.
Thank you.